everybody. Welcome to episode 21 of the Change Guru podcast. This is a place where we have a conversation about all things midlife. I'm Sue Padgett, and today we've got a special edition with a conversation with Anna Forrest. Anna Forrest is a yoga teacher for the modern world. She's developed a form of yoga that weaves the types of yoga we're familiar with, like Ashtanga and Iyengar, and then she combines them with ancient medicine practices to address the very real and often confronting aspects of our everyday lives. In her book, Fierce Medicine, Anna chronicles the path that got her to this place. And even if you aren't into yoga, you're going to find something in the podcast that you relate to in her story. She survived a sexually and emotionally abusive childhood that she said left her numb on 50 levels. And numb means she was an alcoholic, she was a bulimic, she was an anorexic. She survived a suicide attempt, just to kind of highlight some dot points in her amazing story of survival and thriving. And through all of this trauma, she embarked on a journey of personal healing, which came from working with horses, from discovering yoga, and gravitating towards indigenous medicine. All of these forces came together to form Forrest Yoga, a worldwide yoga movement. Forrest Yoga flies in the face of the new agey peace and love and nirvana-ish aspects that many of us associate with yoga, and instead it goes straight to the jugular. It stalks the stuff that we often run from. Forrest Yoga uses the concept of fear as a tool for growth, and this is Anna to a T. Anna's in her late 50s. When I spoke to her, she was about a month away from celebrating her 58th birthday. And it's no surprise that the area of stalking the things in life that can be confronting, such as aging, well, it's exactly what Anna dives right into. The interview is going to give you a fresh take on essential issues that I would talk about, such as how to deal with menopause, to the possibilities of falling in love at midlife. In fact, even though we go a little into the realm, we don't talk much yoga at all. I met Anna at a turning point in her life. In the past year, she's fallen in love with an Aussie. Hey, it happens. I'm speaking from experience. Jose Clarko is the company director of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander dance group Descendants. And together, they're bringing their mutual love and experience for indigenous healing to a new incarnation of Forrest Yoga. They were literally collaborating and creating when I met them, and the energy between them from being in love, as well as the possibilities of taking their work to a new level, it was full on. It was really fun to be in their vortex, and it was a reminder of the new chapters of creation that are always there for all of us. Now, this podcast is a little bit chopped up because some of our chat is going to be used for an article that I'm writing for an upcoming issue of Australian Yoga Life magazine. We did the interview sitting on the floor of a practitioner room at the Body Mind Life studios here in Sydney. Jose is with us at the start and the end of the interview. And you'll be able to experience them together in Australia for workshops that they're doing at Body, Mind and Life in Sydney and another studio in Melbourne. Then they head to Wanderlust in New Zealand. All the links to everything that they're doing and what we mentioned in the podcast will be on the show notes for this episode at thechangeguru.net. So now, please enjoy a conversation with Anna Forrest.
The Change Guru. Listen up. You are the guru of your own midlife change. Gotta take it and own it, don't be restricted by age. What's the number anyway? Live your dreams, don't hesitate. You're the change guru, you're the change guru. This is the time to step up, make your dreams come true. Whatever the change, it all starts with you. Whether it's life's purpose, relationships or career. Whatever the change, it's time to get what you want, what you really, really want. Make a change in midlife and still look really hot. Listen here, don't have fear. You're the master of your fate. You're the woman of the year. I mean it. Change your life forever. I mean it. It's not too late, no never. I said I mean it. Change your life forever. I mean it. It's not too late, no never, ever. Yeah. The Change Guru. All starts with you.
it's like every time that I feel into that and feel into the future lines of it, it's just explosive. It's like we both so want to do our work in the world in a way that helps people and that also brings them into their truth and their self. And it's like with our magic and our medicines combined and the good medicine people of Turtle and some of the other folks that want to join us.
Our star performer is just known as Turtle.
Okay.
He doesn't have a name.
Fine.
It's just Turtle.
Like him. Like Madonna.
Yeah.
He's pretty compelling.
First of all, you two look great together. You're a very striking couple together. But I also love that you kind of seem like young lovers. You seem like people that are really have that kind of feeling, and I think that's what we all want, isn't it? That's what we all want, this kind of youthful
love. It really fits in with what you're speaking on, because it's like, I'm 57, and I found the love of my life at 57, and it's like, to me, that is very hopeful, too. It's not like I'm not on the road to Hagdom and Rod.
Right.
There's just so much more opening that's happening with us, and my other gifts inside are just being so fed and so unfolded by our love. It's really
crazy. And it's the same with me. Like, I've had children and been in relationships, but I've never met my twin flame.
Yeah.
And at 55, meeting my twin flame was like unbelievable. A twin flame is something even higher than people say, oh, she's my soulmate. There's soulmates and soul twins, but a twin flame is like you're really one, but you're separated by body, and you just have to be together, Like we are. We're like teenagers in love.
Yeah.
It's sickening and it's embarrassing, but it's beautiful.
I love it.
It's not sickening.
We're like teenagers in love in our 50s.
It would probably be sickening. I think over 50, it's like the highest rate of divorce for most people. So most people, the idea to see two people who are oozing love and oozing possibility and future would be probably pretty sickening. I want that. Am I going to see you after you do your class? Will we? I'd love to get a little quick picture of you guys.
I will. I will. I'll pop in. I'll be a bit sweaty, but that's okay with you.
Well, you're going to be done before we are. We're done at 1:30, and you're done at 1:15.
1:15.
Yeah. So that'll work out.
Fantastic. Well, lovely. Well, I'll see you afterwards.
Beautiful. Thank you.
All right.
Great. This made my day.
Lovely to...
I love seeing people that are... I love seeing newness, but also destiny kind of things.
This
and
is
possibilities.
destiny.
And
we use the word destiny so lightly, but this is bumping into the lift, her dreams, the tarot, and then an Egyptian psychic told me about her as well, and I just thought, whatever. That was 2 years ago. Yeah. The Egyptian psychic said that your life partner, your love of all lives will come. And I just went, yeah, whatever. But it did. And now we're like two little silly teenagers.
Oh, my God. I love it. Thank you so much for that.
Okay. All right. Have a good interview.
Oh, my gosh.
Cheers.
Bye. Wow.
So that's what's happening.
That's good. I think we can finish.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you need a cushion, or are you good on the floor?
I'm comfortable on the floor.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable
I
on the floor?
prefer floors, but I'm going to use a cushion because my butt gets sore on the floor.
Yeah, Anna, you look fantastic.
Thank you. I feel really good.
Yeah.
And really strong, and I find it so interesting. Love has been a very interesting entity in my life. It's been something that I have chosen to hunt.
Chosen to hunt, did you say?
Chosen to hunt.
Okay.
Because especially coming into the yoga world, I heard about, love, and love is all there is, and it's just like, shut up, I'm going to throw up on you. Yeah. It was just like spiritual diabetes to me.
It seems like you've always resisted that kind of new agey.
I don't have any room for it because I don't have room for bullshit.
Yeah.
And yet, when I finally decided, like, all right, I'm going to hunt what this love is. I'm going to find out what this is. And where I really honestly started to first learn about love was with my students. I could love them in little small increments, like about an hour and a half, because that's how long my classes were. at a certain point, just my watchfulness would change to this feeling that I didn't have words for. And it wasn't until years later I could look back and go, oh, that's where I started to kindle love, my care for them. As soon as they're at the door from the yoga class, don't ask me for anything. I have nothing for you. You know, so I was a very conditional lover and was quite proud of that because I actually found that I could love.
Totally.
But I had to turn it on, and I literally had to create and then grow my neurotransmitters for it because I didn't have any.
Yeah.
And then when I started to have personal relationship and exploring, like, how do I get past all of my stuff in order to learn to love here? Because it was easier to love my students, and it was easier to care for the horses when I was a horse trainer. And so each of my relationships has been an education in love. And as my capacity to love increased, my capacity as a teacher and a medicine woman and as a healer just exploded. And so now, like my skills are growing tremendously. And I totally attribute it to this, whatever this love is that is somehow my body and my spirit is creating this. And we are both so heavily affecting each other. It's like there's an alchemical magic. And I'm not talking about woo-woo bullshit, because I am not a woo-woo bullshit person. But there's this alchemical magic that is happening that when we put our attention into working on someone, like we're starting to do healings on people together. And Jose was a faith healer years back. And so he has that innately, like a wild healer inside of him. And I've had some training, but it's also more like I just go with whatever that body is asking for. So we've worked on a couple of people. We have some people lined up that we will be working on that are some of the Aboriginal medicine people that, you know, they don't let anybody touch them because they're just too sensitive.
Yeah.
And it'll be an exploration into the various ways to weave our energies together.
Yeah.
But what I'm so excited about, which is why I wanted Jose here to explain a little bit about what he's bringing, is that we are bringing these powers together and really skillfully and very carefully weaving together these magics in an honorable way so that however effective we were for the people before, together it's going to be something else.
I really like it.
And we're going to be working on this all year. That I consider as like our R&D time. And, you know, here will be our first initiation for it. And
Perfect.
And Melbourne will be next. And then we're going to Wanderlust in New Zealand. And that will be our times. And then I go on the road and he goes into dance performances. So we'll be separate for a while. And then we recombine again here for the teacher training at Body, Mind, Life, which will be a month-long training. So Turtle and Jose and maybe Nikki, who is my singer for my ceremonies, we'll just see who wants to show up. But they'll be coming in to contribute and to educate people. And how I see it is my job is teaching them from the inside how to utilize this energy so it doesn't just spray them and then they walk out in shock.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you use this amazing gift that they just gave you in a good medicine way and build on it?
Yeah.
And each day, it's like, let's work on this, let's build on it. So, like, learning how to start to build a new paradigm based on the resonances of the medicines that we're bringing together.
Yeah.
And it's going to be amazing. So now I'll be quiet.
No, I love it. But I want to say one thing for the listeners. Some people are going to be really into yoga. Some people are going to be like, what the hell are these 3 people talking about?
Right.
Which is fantastic. But what I really want to, for people that don't know about Anna, it's really incredible how much she's talking about love, how much she's talking about the possibilities in the future and the plans that she has with Jose and the things that she wants to do, because you grew up without any love.
I didn't have any idea what it felt like. I would witness something that looked like affection to me, but it was just like out of my world. I did not. This is the truth. I did not have neuroreceptors for love.
It's really interesting. That's such an interesting way to put it. I mean, here's the pencil sketch. You had a horrific childhood. I mean, horrific, and so there's another way to say it. I mean, it's absolutely horrible. It was there was abuse, there was addiction, there was
total abandonment. I mean, it was just absolutely shocking childhood, and I think that if someone listening can relate to at least one of the things that you went to, and would be at a time in their life where they feel like the world's black right now. But for you, the world's like, wow.
Well, this is part of the...
As Anna does splits.
It's very comfortable. So this is part of the medicine of what I put together in Forrest Yoga. It's like all the different places that I went that actually helped, which was into Native American healing, into working with food as medicine, into working with diet very, very specifically, into hands-on healing, into Chinese medicine, into many different places that I studied. Whenever I found something that felt like it gave me a peace, like I studied and became a trauma therapist, because as a therapist, I worked with people who were ritualistically abused, which is as ugly as you can possibly get, and sexual abuse, and people that were sold into prostitution, and just some really revolting rivers of hell that humanity inflicts on each other. And so just being so invested in pulling these people out, like, you are not imprisoned by this. You are not. There is a way out, but you're going to have to work your ass off for it. I can't just do, like, the little magic touch and all is fixed. I mean, that's actually Jose's magic. He was a faith healer at that level. Me, I get people to work with me. It's like, you want to fix these bones, you want to fix your scoliosis, you want to fix your rotted liver that you totally wrecked with your drinking and drugs. Great, let's do it. But you're going to have to work for it. But I'll help you.
And those things are the things you just described are kind of physical things. But then you're talking about the neurotransmitters to teach yourself how to love. And that's a cool concept.
But it is. It's like our emotions move through us chemically. That's how they move. Our emotions and our thoughts have chemical components. And all you got to do is do some research and you will have the backing for this. Like Dr. Candace Pert wrote a whole book called Molecules of Emotion. You need a pen?
I'll put, and also so the things that we talk about.
P-E-R-T, Pert.
Okay, the things that we're talking about today also, listeners, I'll put in the show notes for this, so there'll be links to all the workshops and Wanderlust and Jose, and this is Candace Pert, you say?
Dr. Candace Pert.
Okay.
Wrote Molecules of Emotion. And it's she tells some of her life story about being a scientist with, a lot of men that are scientists and how it's like the old boys club and just that whole embattlement, which I think is going to be very pertinent to our listeners because as women, we need to face that every day.
Yeah.
Like whether it's in salary or just a demeaning because women are stupider than men or just all the bizarre mythology that's in our culture about women that every day, if we want to be in truth, we need to break it every single day.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm not buying that. I'm 57. I'm not buying that I'm rotting.
Yeah.
What I will do, though, is I will be absolutely vigilant to do things that only give me good nutrition. So people who feel like rot to me, I'll either tell them to come to my class so we can work on it together, or keep them out of my life. It's like, I don't want to hang out with people who are always drinking or just in filth all the time because it pollutes me.
That takes a lot. I mean, that's a problem too. Women have such problems with boundaries and will have the crappy friend in their life or whatever, and just that idea of like, I can't tolerate someone who doesn't serve me, isn't right for me, or whatever. Is actually quite challenging.
It is, but it's also like, my listeners, I hope you take this really strongly. I give you permission to move out the toxicity in your life, whether it's people, whether it's thinking, whether it's the drug and alcohol that you do, or the pharmaceutical drugs that are making you sick. It's like to have permission to learn to put it down and learn a healing road, and also learn this road of unfolding and taking responsibility for your own evolving. I think it is the sexiest game in town.
Yeah.
It's like, take responsibility for your own evolving. Does that mean you don't go see teachers? No. It means you hunt for your resources. You hunt for, like, you want to learn how to heal your liver, you hunt for people who can help you with that. You want to learn how to find out who is your authentic self, you get people to help you with that. But you are the one that's driving your healing process. And you go to your acupuncturists or your chiropractors or your yoga teachers or your medicine people. You go there holding the sacredness of your own life and asking for help in bringing you more into who you can become, as opposed to this automated person that is bewildered about what was his life all about. Now I'm dying.
Right. It's so true. And the thing is, I mean, this is kind of the cornerstone of your work. It's the whole stalking fear thing. And I wonder, I think everything that you said, I think the reason why men don't go and look at what's going on or ask questions or rather take an antidepressant than face their stuff or what it is because they're scared. They're really they're afraid of what will happen if I feel this feeling. Could that set up a domino effect?
I think that's partially true, but I think part of it is ignorance, and I'm not saying that in an insult way, but it's like our people don't know that there's other options. They actually don't know. And so what I'm hoping is whoever listens to this is like there is other options besides taking an antidepressant in order to have to endure your life. Yeah. It's like, I don't care what shit's happened to you, there's healing for it. Does that mean you'll never have scar tissue, you'll never have a bad memory? Of course you will. Yeah. Of course you will. But it won't run your life anymore. You will relegate that thing to a memory of something that you lived through, and therefore you lived through that. That's an act of power. You may have come out really chopped up from it, but you lived through it. Now, what else can you learn from that experience so that you never have to go through it again? So you don't have to keep repeating the same damage over and over.
Do you think that when you were growing up, that it was so, to me it just seemed really terrifying. Some things seemed so terrifying that you just had so much fear that everything that came after that was like, this is a joke. Like nothing is scary to you after that?
Yeah, and sort of. I could say that now, because now I'm a very deeply feeling person, but I was an alcoholic. I smoked incessantly every hour I was awake. I was a 3-pack-a-day smoker. And I was numb on 50 levels. I was numb. Yeah. And so I would do dangerous things, like racing down a mountain and car races and gambling, who was going to win first.
And working with the horses the way you used to work with horses at a young age and dealing with animals.
My horses were what kept me alive. I mean, I got hurt a lot, but that was the one place that there was a spark of life in me. And so the horse magic was amazing, and there was also all of my ugliness would come out there too, so it was like incredibly shameful for me. I mean, both were there. But though I got deadly kicks in the head, like full-on strikes in the head that I should have died, and kicks in my legs and stomach and chest, and I mean, I've been really trashed by the horses. That was what kept me alive for those years.
You tried to kill yourself?
Yes, I jumped off a cliff. And some part of me did die when that happened. And yet, when I came up out of that, I was sort of blank. And that's when I started reconstructing myself. And that's when I built Forrest, the yoga teacher. Because I was blank. The hatred and the self-loathing and the rage sort of stay shocked out for a while. And so I went somewhere where nobody knew who I was, and I started to build a person I could respect.
Why did you... other people, this happens all the time where people can't pick themselves out of that. We see it all the time. We have family members that can't pick themselves up out of it. What was it about you that kept on going even when it was so dark?
Well, it's like I had no hope. I had no faith. I didn't have anything that was like, just keep going and it'll be all right. No. As far as I was concerned, the difficulties were just part of what life was like. And there's some truth to that, but I didn't understand for years how I continued to draw in more and more hardship. After a while, I was the one perpetuating the hardships. As a child, that wasn't true. It was coming from outside, coming in. But it set the pattern, and this is what my addict friends and all the people that come to me because they feel like there's something more that's worth gaining in life, whether it's getting free of their alcohol or cocaine or their destructive relationships or whatever it is. It's like we have these patterns set. And we have these patterns set in our nervous systems and our cell system and our emotional bodies, and it's changing that pattern. It's slowly dismantling that paradigm and building a paradigm you want to live internally, structure-wise, emotionally, spiritually, physically. It's like you rebuild.
In a weird way, it's kind of, it wasn't good, but it's kind of like you didn't get any conditioning. You didn't get any kind of the traditional messages of...
I got a different kind of conditioning.
Yeah.
I mean, my conditioning was very intense on heading in a certain direction and living a certain lie, or if I started to get close to the memories, there was all these very strong brainwashing conditioning thing that I should kill myself before hitting these memories. I mean, the people that had me in the abuse actually knew what they were doing about protecting themselves. And so that conditioning was very hard to break through, and I was in therapy with the therapist who trained me for years, for like 6 years, sometimes every day if I was feeling like I was going to kill myself.
Yeah.
And I recommend that people work in a therapy way when they're working with these big issues, because the isolation is part of the abuse training. And so you have to disobey. You disobey the abuser at every opportunity. Every time you disobey, even on a small level, like let's say it's time to binge because you started to have an emotional feeling that was uncomfortable and you have learned to black out the feeling. Disobey that. It's like, do something good for yourself. Do sun exercises or do some abdominals in yoga so that, one, you disobey the destructive impulse, and two, you do something that builds your vitality. Double win. So those folks that I work with, I try to get their rebel up. It's like, hey, you get to catch your conditioning and fucking disobey. How fun is that?
Yeah. And what do they say? Do they laugh?
They
or
get
are
excited
they
about
happy
that.
about it?
Yeah, well, like the idea of disobeying is really fun.
Yeah.
And learning how to break out of the prison that they live in so that there's something else instead of perpetuating the same suffering over and over and over again. Like, I am so determined to help people and give them the tools to break out of their suffering. It is part of my life pledge. But it's not like I can do it for them. I can't. But I can teach them, here's these tools. Forrest yoga, medicine, the Aboriginal dances and songs that tap you into what's been real for 40,000 years. I mean, that's a 40,000-year-old culture. At least that's as far as it's been carbon dated.
Yeah.
But it's like that the Aboriginal people are a living culture. They're not extinct. And that's why I'm so excited about them. But besides them being worthy of respect, they've been honing and wielding their spiritual technology longer than any of us.
Yeah, it's so weird because it's like we don't, just in Sydney, you don't even think about any of the communities. And I have a feeling it's kind of the similar, it's just, I know this, it's just so when I would go out to communities, I would just be so blown away because it'd be like, people have no idea what's going on here. They're so detached. But I suppose it's the same thing when you're from Native American reservations.
Yeah.
People are so detached, and it would be really cool. There must be so many awesome things that we can get from that. I'm again thinking about acupuncture and Ayurveda and just different kinds of medicines and different kinds of therapies. There must be some really awesome things that could have practical value.
I mean, one of my ambitions in life, and it's true with the Native Americans and with my spiritual brother and sister in the States, who's Alex Turtle. I got
surrounded by turtles.
I love my turtles. Oh my God, my turtles, I just totally love them. Alex Turtle and Shanoa Igawa, they're medicine chiefs in Washington. And because they are willing to work with my Forrest Yoga tribe, they're bridging this horrible chasm between the first peoples of the land and the people that came after. And same as in here, as like the Europeans and whoever it was that came onto Australia did incredibly shameful actions and genocidal actions, very much like what happened to my friends of the tribal people in America.
Yeah.
And there is what I'm hoping for and what I'm praying for and what I'm working for is to bring the medicines of people together so that there is helpful things that the white people actually have, and there is incredible, deep spiritual connection that the first people have, and the European and the invaders on this land have broken. The first people. There's alcoholics, there's drug addicts, there's just horrible, horrible problems and just broken spirits. And yet there is also the medicine people that are still alive. And I think it's up to all of us to start to come together and weave bridges over these huge gaps of damage.
Yeah, time is now.
Well, I feel like it's possible.
Mm.
I mean, like that Nikki and Turtle and John, who were the people that did the ceremony for me, that Jose asked them to come and do this ceremony for this unknown woman. And they did it wholeheartedly. They really did, and they made a connection with me that, for me, feels lifelong. And, slowly they're letting me come in. And so, I can put my hands on an injury of theirs and help that injury and, slowly offer up, like, I have gifts for you, and I really want to learn.
How exciting.
And so it's really beautiful that, that certain members of Descendants have been hearing what me and Jose are wanting to do, and they're going to Jose, hey, boss, I want in on this. And it's just like, you do?
Yeah.
You do? I'm so happy.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's this huge thing that's happening.
It's kind of like you were saying, sometimes you need it's an alchemy. When you got that kind of alchemy going, it kind of spreads, doesn't it?
Yes.
You mentioned, so 57. What?
57 years old, yes.
And amazing.
Soon 58 in another month.
It's just amazing. Look as strong and healthy as can be. Can I ask you personal questions about perimenopause, menopause, that kind of stuff? How have you gone through this time in your life? What kind of physical feelings did you experience? Did you just sail on through, or what was it like for you?
It was pretty easy, but I also made a determination about it, to not worry about things like sweating,
Yeah, I like the way you said that in the book. Yeah. And it's so true. I mean, that's a stupid conditioning thing.
But we're conditioned that women aren't supposed to sweat, so like if we have sweat in our armpits or if we drench our clothes, it's like, baby, if you know you're going through the sweats, bring an extra pair of clothes.
Yeah.
But it's like, we need those sweats. We need them. They're purifying. It helps clean the shit of a lifetime out of our cell tissue, but it's also, don't put shit back in. It's like, drink a lot of good water, eat only the highest vitality foods and fluids so that you can be a powerful wisdom keeper as you age instead of a bitter old hag.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean that. I really mean that. It's like, we can totally use our life experiences to embitter and harden us, and that's the road to rot. And to choose to cleanse that rot out, like, these bitter, hard experiences, I'm going to mine them for something worthwhile and then flush that shit out of my system.
Yeah.
So I'm not talking about forgiveness and light and flowers. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, what did you learn about yourself in this really hideous experience? How do you extract something that you can turn to wisdom and then be wise enough and powerful enough to move that crap on out?
So it's basically, when it comes to, so that's your theory. When you are physically, mentally feeling shit coming up,
practice,
that's your
my theory.
Okay, practice. Difference. There's
Yes.
a difference because it's continually happening,
action.
isn't it? It's action. It's
Yes.
continuous. You always have to be mindful and doing it. So get that. The authority is saying it's a practice. It's not something that, boom, I got it and I don't have to think about it again. You have to practice. So practice reinterpreting the idea of a discomfort that happens is actually something cleansing.
Time. Initiation. So, like, how about initiation into, these are the steps necessary to become a wisdom keeper, to become a person of power, a woman of power.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff is, learn more about yourself. There are some very easy things to track in this menopausal change, like your bone density changes. So that means you need to exercise more. You cannot be flaky anymore. You do not have the freedom for your own stupidity anymore.
Right.
So there's no room for it, because in our 20s and stuff, there's lots of room for our silliness and our flakiness and our stupidity, and we healed faster. Now, as I see it, creation expects us to have some wisdom in our years. So learn what works for you. Learn what doesn't work for you. And I got news for everybody that isn't going to want to hear it. Crappy food and alcohol and drugs do not work in these bodies. They do not understand them, and it's poisonous. And so even if you think you should just have like those social drinks and all that, it's like drink water with some lemon in it.
Yeah.
Drink something that doesn't hurt your body.
Yeah.
And do things that build your bone tissue. Exercise, yoga, calcium foods.
What about not being able to sleep well? What about like
Do
insomnia?
yoga before you go into sleep.
Yeah.
And if for some reason you're having a sleepless night, get up out of bed and do some yoga. You might as well make use of that time. Do some yoga. And that way your nervous system and your chemistry will start coming into its new balance. Because a lot of this stuff is signs of an imbalance. It's like you're in a changing time. And, oh my God, the winds of change are blowing through you. So it's your time to clean out your wilderness and make it a place of beauty inside. So it's like people seem to believe that at a certain age you get fat. It's like, well, if you stop exercising and you eat comfort foods because you feel like a failure, yeah, you're going to get fat.
Like many others, I first encountered Anna from YouTube videos where she does these absolutely epic demonstrations. I've put a link to them on the show notes of this episode so you can see them for yourself. But what I didn't know was that Anna was not born genetically blessed. In this next section, she explains the secret most people don't know behind her extraordinary physicality. She also shares how she's used menopause as a way to completely change the way she eats. I also then get a little bit of a personal session with Anna where she walks me through 2 breathing exercises to deal with fear. And in one of those, all of us, and that means you, get an invitation to get up close and personal with our vaginas. See, I told you she was fierce.
Like, people watching me may or may not know what I came from. They don't know that I was crippled. They don't know all those things.
Can we just stop there? That was the thing I wanted to say. So you watched that, and then I read the story, and you were crippled as a child.
Crippled. I was born crippled, and then I lost my legs again in '93 in a bizarre accident in a restaurant.
Yeah.
And
that might have been connected to maybe something psychological, possibly.
Oh, yeah, of course. Well, yes, it absolutely was.
Yeah.
You know, it was connected to, I had done some prayers with my pipe about I want to finish this mother stuff once and for all.
Yeah.
And so the injury brought me face to face with many things, including being absolutely terrified of being crippled, because the hookup that I didn't realize back then was crippled equaled abuse, because when I was crippled as a little baby and as a young girl, my legs didn't work so good. That was when the abuse was going on. And so I didn't know that there was that hookup. And
so you never know. So when you're looking at you doing this, these demos,
sometimes I say something ahead of time, sometimes I don't.
Okay.
But it's like my intent. I have a number of different intents when I do a demo like that. My intent is to inspire people, but also is to be brave enough to show them the dance of my spirit. I mean, it really is. And in funny ways, I'm throwing out magic dust. You know, and people cry. They're very deeply moved. It's not just like, oh yeah, would you get me some popcorn? The show's on in 20 minutes, you know. It's like, this is the dance of my spirit.
Is that the kind of practice that you do every day on your own? I mean, is that like normal?
No, the way that I choreograph those demos is not the way that I practice, but those poses I definitely put together in a certain way. And when I'm doing a demo, I actually work on it for a long time before I actually bring it up, because it's the music, and I was like, yeah, I'm not a natural choreographer, but I've actually learned how to get the music and the certain poses to create a certain energy together.
Hey, that's cool with you and Jose.
Yes, totally funny. You know, it's like I have like the master choreographer and a musician who he considers himself much more than a musician, and he is, but someone who uses music in a medicine way. Yeah. And then with the Aboriginal chants and stuff, because he also writes his own music that has some of the Aboriginal people participating because they just love it. But there's like all these different levels of music as medicine, as soul speaking, as heart speaking, and heart delight, you know, and it's a very different form that we'll be bringing in.
This is a silly thing, but, well, maybe it's not silly. Maybe someone's told you this before. You know, in the book, Fierce Medicine, there'll be links to it on the show notes for this. It's a really cool book, but there was one part where you write about the breakthrough you had about your abuse. It was very intense, and it was kind of when you said your legs are around the time of the dolphin.
Yes.
So I just read through the book, and that night that I finished the book, I had the most horrific dreams I've had in a long time. And then, since then, I've had like this surge of adrenaline going through me. So, where was I going through with this? What was the point of saying this? Oh, so I was, in doing my research, I had this adrenaline, and then you were talking about one thing that you can do to learn how to breathe or to stalk fear when you get those kind of yuck, adrenaline, fear kind of feelings that I think I get, like almost like a hot flash kind of feeling. But you can describe it, those, you know, like active hands, active feet. And I've been doing that, and the deep breathing. And it's funny how that really does help when you get into this fear kind of thing.
So for our listeners, I want to go through 2 different kinds of breathing that I teach. One is a breath that was taught to me by a tiger, a 4-foot tiger, stripes, teeth, beauty, amazing tiger. And I was watching this tiger breathing. I started matching my breathing to it. And this is how I learned how to breathe from a tiger. It's like they use their entire rib cage. So whoever's listening to this, I want you to do it with me.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
All right. So sit up straight.
Okay.
Okay, teacher. And you're holding the mic with one. Put your hand on your ribs with the other.
I'll put it down. Okay, take a chance.
All right, so 2-handed operation.
Yeah, here we go.
So exhale everything out. Get empty.
I'm exhaling out?
Exhale everything out.
Okay.
All right. Now slow inhale. Push your ribs against your hands. So you're spreading your ribs. We call it expanding the ribs. Keep inhaling. Breathe all the way up into the lymph glands in your armpits, because our lymph glands in the armpits have to do with keeping our breast tissue clean. Now, ease your shoulder blades down and exhale. Take your shoulder blades down more. There you go. And put your hands on your belly. And pull your belly in until your abdominals squeeze out every bit of breath. Now, hands on ribs. Inhale, expand your ribs, spreading each air sac in your lungs, because we have tremendous breath capacity we don't use. That was better. Now, ease your shoulder blades down, because that de-stresses. Put the hands on the belly. Exhale, pull the belly in. Keep going until you're completely empty. Unlock your jaw. Yeah. So when you concentrate, you clamp your jaw, and that also has a deep effect on neck, jaw, brain, inner hearing. And when you clamp, you don't hear as well.
Yeah.
You don't hear the inside guidance as well, and you don't hear the outside as well.
That's good.
Yeah, so let your jaw go. So that's one type of breathing. Do that like all day.
Yeah.
Now, especially when you're scared or you want to juice up or you want to re-own your sexuality. Here's the other one. Ready?
Okay.
Take one hand, put it right on your vagina.
Okay.
Right? The other hand, right on tip of the tailbone, anus, perineum. Perineum's that little flap.
Okay, everybody, you got your hand on your vagina, one hand on your vagina, and the other
on your anus.
Doing a reach around.
Isn't it so funny how we can't even say that, right? Anus.
Anus.
A-N-U-S. It's your asshole. Let's
your
go.
Anus.
Yes. Here we are. So, inhale and bear down. So, inhale, like use your abdominals, not with your ribcage, though. So, sit up straight. So, you're not pushing down that way.
Is it like Mula Bandha kind
It's
of
the opposite.
Okay.
Inhale and push the muscles of your vagina, perineum, and anus into your hands, and your tailbone actually moves out a little. Do you feel that?
I think so.
Okay, so it takes a little work. Now exhale and contract 3 times with the exhales. Vaginal muscles, so you're building your musculature intelligence in there. So it's like exhale, pull it in.
Yeah.
Okay. Now relax your diaphragm down. Inhale, bear down, and feel for the muscles moving right into your hand. So your vaginal muscles move down. And you might just feel like a little flicker, and that's the start.
Yeah.
Oh, but you had it for a second. Keep going. Bear down. No, you pull in your belly in. It actually fills down a little. Push down so that you're pushing down toward the earth. It's a good earth connection, too. Right? And you're doing the contraction on the exhale, yeah?
Now I am.
Okay. Now, inhale, bear down. Relax the belly. Inhale, bear down. Yeah, so now it's inhale. So you're doing it on exhale. Inhale, bear down. So it's like you're ballooning your breath right down into clitoris, into vaginal
wall,
Yeah,
all that territory that we don't even feel. And we wonder why we're not orgasmic. It's like, well, I need to feel here.
So what's this for, Anna? This is for not only sex, but also for sexual feeling, but also for fear too?
Yes, because when we are in fear, we shut off in the genitals and our legs, and your legs turn to water, right? So this will ground you in your body faster than anything I know. Breathe into your genitals. Also, what will happen is your immune system turns on, your basic life force turns on. So if we were to go into the yoga speak for a moment, the bottom chakra here is like where the flames of your life force and your immune system is.
Yeah.
And yes, it's all the way through, but here, if this area is shut down, our health is shut down.
Yes.
And so as you start learning to breathe into first chakra and breathing down so that you feel that the genital, perineum, and anal muscles moving downward, and then you're doing that contraction on the exhale, you're bringing new life in there. And that's going to flush energy through your whole core all the way up into your brain.
Yeah.
So when I'm working with brain damaged people, brain injured people, that's also one of the things I teach, is get down there. But I teach everybody how to do this.
Right.
And it's so funny, we're so weird about this.
Do some people like when you say, okay, I want you to put your hand on your vagina, or some people like, everyone just laughs?
In Asia, they're really scared, especially the guys.
Yeah.
The women will do it, but they're really embarrassed. But the men are horrified. And it's like, I really mean it. Cup your balls.
Yeah.
Grab your balls.
Yeah.
You're going to actually learn something new about your balls today. It's really going to be great.
Right. That must be pretty breakthrough for it's such a cultural
I would
difference.
say Asia and England had the biggest problem with it.
Interesting.
Well, the English, they have so many entrapments with all their rules.
Right. What about Australia? What are Australian students like?
They're a little bolder. Australian people can, just like everybody, can be bound by the rules and their cultural conditioning, and yet the Australian folks, what I really enjoy is like they're a little bit more willing to get raw. And like raw is where it's just amazing. It's like strip the shields off, strip the numbness out, and I dare you to feel your life.
Yeah.
I dare you to learn how to have an emotion.
Yeah. God, it's crazy.
And to educate people, because we've been taught that having emotions is weak.
Yeah.
But actually building walls against our emotional body is not only weakening, it's stupid, and it makes us sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's stupid. So to take the warrior path, take the courageous path of risking feeling your feelings. Like if your heart is walled up, you can't feel love.
No.
And that also means that if you unblock your heart, you'll also feel rage, and you better learn how to deal with those big energies. So it's like learning how to deal with these big, windy energies.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing when you said, and can you also describe the active hands and the active feet?
Sure. I want to get in one line that I started to touch on before I got active hands and feet, which is the winds of change. So our women at this age group are going through the winds of change. And the awesome thing about that is you can ride that or just be buffeted by it.
Yes.
And so I'm asking the women to start to come forward in their power and learn how to use this change in a good way. Because you can use the winds of change to cleanse out your internal environment so it's a beautiful wilderness instead of a polluted sinkhole.
I'll remember the hands and feet, but on that note, how do Native American cultures deal with the whole perimenopause thing, or sorry, not the scope, just plain old the change. For lack of playing around with words, but what's the feeling for a woman when she's in her 40s or 50s? Is this a good time for her?
It can be. It's considered a time of initiation. Like if you go through this changing time in a good medicine way, you can emerge a wisdom keeper, which is very revered. Someone who carries the wisdom for the tribe. Someone who has wisdom for people when they're going through their own challenges. Someone who has been through enough life that they have a bigger perspective than someone who's 20 or 6 or 40. It's like 40 is early for a wisdom keeper.
Right.
One of the things that Jose said that I really loved is he said, you're going through your second Saturn return. And it's like, oh, that was completely off of my radar. And first Saturn return is pretty rocky. You know, that time around 27, 28 goes on for about 4 years. It's a changing time. And this one is very much a changing time, but it's like changed by love, touched by love, changed by having done enough self-study that I'm really going after learning about these new facets of myself and going after how do I develop these gifts and really, honestly, sometimes painfully assessing what have I been perpetuating in my life that really doesn't work.
In this unfolding time, you know, where you kind of like, I don't know, am I right? Am I hearing you right? Where you're kind of like, I'm not quite sure how, I mean, you clearly have your business and the things you want to do together, but it's kind of like,
how it's going to all fold out. We don't know. We are just dreaming on it.
So how do you do that? How do you just dream on something?
I talk a lot, and also I go into ceremony and I'll put it in my prayers, like, sacred ones, I'm asking you, I'm inviting you to come in and weave this into a masterpiece with me. Weave this into a masterpiece to help mend the hoop of the people and to inspire our humans to step forward with courage into living a life that really matters, that is dictated to by their spirit, not by their fears. And that really matters to me.
So when you do your ceremony, do you have is that like part of a morning ritual that you...
I do some ceremony every morning in the shower.
Okay.
It's sort of like, I'm in a hurry and I got a few minutes. And that's where I'll set my intent. And then sometimes there's other things that come up, you know, that's like, oh, I need to be attentive to that, or, oh, I forgot, you know, and bringing this thing in. Like, I'm working on my brain because I've had a lot of brain injuries. And there's a spot that I'm working on bringing light into. And so that's part of my intent that I'm working on this year. That's one of the many things I'm working on this year, is to light up the parts of my brain that are still dim. But that's also a bigger intent, and what I'm also teaching people is like, the brain to me is a very wonderful thing. And one of the things I consider very hopeful is the evidence, scientific evidence, of how little of our brain that we actually use. There's like 2/5 on most humans that are not even accessed. So that's hopeful to me. It's like, what would we be like if we had full access? And so when I, as a seer and as an energy worker, when I watch myself or when I perceive other people, and they start to work in Forrest Yoga in a certain way, or they are entranced and enchanted by descendants doing what they do, different parts of their brain light up, and I can see it. And it's like, this is key. And so in bringing in what the Aboriginal people are willing to bring into this collaborate, you know, once they feel like, yes, we can offer up this song or offer up this dance or to speak to you about the didgeridoo and how it's so very important to bring in that education, but also bring in the experience of it, because we will make a difference to our people in lighting it up. And so there's this willing collaboration going on. You know, it's like there's a new paradigm forming. And I'm really thrilled about it. And I actually realized, like, I may have lost the thread of what you originally asked. But
That's all right. I think it was about rituals, and but I love the way that you're kind of. I think I can get an idea that your mind is probably going in some really new directions.
Oh, how we were dreaming it.
Yeah.
So we talk. We've been talking a lot since I got here.
Yeah.
I just got here.
Yeah. When did you get here?
Friday.
Okay.
A few days ago.
Yeah.
So I'm still like a little weary, and we're talking about how to bring it together.
Yeah.
Or Jose is also talking to different members of Descendants, like who is willing to begin this exploration with us. And because of the way Jose is and the way that I am in our creations, this will be a lot of polishing.
Oh, yeah.
So there'll be a lot of testing ground, but
That's
also
exciting.
in the process, different ceremonies or different products will be coming out of this. You know, like ways of working with our food. Like Jose is very adamant as a vegetarian.
You're not.
Well, I wasn't. I am now.
You're back to being a vegetarian
I
now.
am.
Okay, wow.
Because there's something in my body that said, no,
Okay.
stop this. And so do I think vegetarian is the end-all and be-all? No, I ate meat, and very well, and in a very good medicine way for years. And now my body, in the change,
Right.
has said, no,
Interesting.
no more. And it's like I've got this little patch right here where I had a really scary thing happen a number of months ago. It's like I was doing a teacher training, and someone gave me a hug and sort of reactivated an injury here. And the tissue swelled up, and it choked on my colon. And so nothing was moving, and I could feel my food rotting in there.
Mm.
And it was a really terrible time because I was doing my most intense course, and my guts have stopped.
Yeah.
And it took a whole lot of work before I could get the swelling to come down and my colon to open. But ever since then, my body, this has become my spokesperson right here, this little spot. And so all I need to do is put my hand on her right here and say yes or no on this. And there'll be a very instantaneous response.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
And so it's been very interesting because my body is asking for very specific foods in a vegetarian way, and it's so funny for me and Jose to be on the same track so far as highly nutritious food and being conscious of feeding the body in a way that is friendly and is healing and also revitalizing, but also using it as a way of sort of purifying from the suffering.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like the way you just listening to what you know. I mean, it's I think that for myself, I've reduced alcohol so much. I just really can't tolerate it. It's weird, though. I actually like to have a glass of wine, but I just can't. I mean, I physically feel it in a really negative way.
Well, consider your body has gotten wiser and is telling
Totally.
you that this doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
And so I really love that idea of just, instead of just keep on going because
You're used to it.
you're used to it, socials, whatever.
Yeah.
But I
Or addicted.
Yeah. Oh, everything. But the meat that's interesting to just, you went through a time where you absolutely did need it, but that doesn't mean it needs to be forever.
The change is the change. Things
Yeah.
change. Like, we need to change how we eat as our body changes. So as our metabolism goes through its changes, it can be really fun. Start to quest for what works. And anything that doesn't work, throw it away. It doesn't matter if it's been with you for 45 years. Who cares?
That's the thing. It's funny how people just hang on to
But
that.
they think like, oh, well, this worked then. It's like eating buffalo worked for me for years.
Yeah.
And now it's like, nope, incorrect. And then there's this funny thing that's come up, and I never wanted to admit it. And this is hard for me because I am so deeply in love with nature and animals. As a eater of animals, the suffering that the animals go through with the way that the humans process them. And I am not taking that suffering inside of me anymore.
I know what you mean.
And I learned from the medicine ways. I learned how to pray over my food. I learned many good things to change having to kill in order to live. That was difficult for me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to do that. And yet I learned how to hunt so that if this animal is going to die so I can live, I want to give it the best death possible and do prayers over it and do everything I can in gratitude for I am taking this life so I can live. Thank you, deer or buffalo or whoever it is, or even if it's a broccoli. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I still very much, that's part of my healing as a bulimic and anorexic, is to give thanks to whatever it is that's on my plate. Whether it's sprouts or broccoli or arugula or whatever is on my plate, or what it used to be a deer or a turkey or whoever, right? Is like to run my energy through each hand on either side of the plate and ask that food to align with me. Like I literally align my food with my own energy so that it can build my health, build my vitality. And I do that every meal, even though now I don't have people on my plate. I don't have the animal people on my plate.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was very hard to admit that I was deeply affected by that. And it wasn't until I stopped and became a vegetarian for the second time.
Yeah.
This is the second time, because I became a vegetarian back in 1975 for a number of years, but I believed the popular nutritional strategy that was being promoted at that time, like, oh, you have to get your protein and you have to combine your grains and you have to do this and you have to do that. And it was like, that actually was the worst possible thing I could do, because all the beans and grains that I'm supposed to get protein from, I'm allergic to. And I didn't know that.
Right.
So now, becoming a vegetarian again, I already know it doesn't work for me, which just makes it so easy.
Yeah,
and so tasty.
I love the idea, too, of just, you don't have to be any particular religion. I just like the idea of being conscious and mindful when you're sitting down and having a meal, how awesome it is to be able to eat something nice.
Yeah.
How lucky are we to be able to have food in front of us?
Yeah.
It's a really wonderful, and it's a simple practice, but it's really profound.
I think bringing in that respect is important. Respect for, here is this food that somebody grew so you could eat it, you know? And to bring it in a way that literally I'm feeding my life force and my health. So if I'm going for chocolate, or I'm going for a lot of bread, or I'm going for a lot of processed foods, I'm bringing in food that doesn't have vitality. And as a result, it dulls my vitality, it dulls my life force in order to deal with this sludge. And so recognizing not to put in anything that dulls me. I don't want to be dull anymore.
You've come through, I mean, we didn't even talk about the bulimia. We didn't talk about your time in India. Oh, bulimia.
Bulimic. Switching between anorexic and bulimic.
Oh my God. You have just, I think I'm so glad I've met you. And I really I get so inspired by, I think that, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that our big challenges in life are also our purpose.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine said, because she heard it from someone else, whatever is in the way is the way. And I just cracked up. I just thought, that's well done.
That's so good.
Yeah, whatever's in your way is your dharma joust.
Yeah.
Work it out. So whether it's, the gates of fire that I went through with the abuse and with not knowing how to love and not being loved, and the anorexic and the bulimic and the drug addictions and the alcohol addictions and the cigarette addictions. And
you just got to laugh because it's so radical.
Yeah. And having died so many times in this life. Yeah. The times I was kicked in the head, the epileptic seizures, just hideous amount of challenges. And yet now, my life is so rich. It's so magic. And I made it that way. And I made it that way with changing the way I was in relationship to just about everything.
Yeah. Oh, how good is that?
It's really good. And it really needed to change. So yeah, with the eating disorders, the learning how to pray over my food was very helpful, because I wasn't going to waste it by puking. And, underneath the bulimia was the sexual abuse. And I didn't know that. I stopped the bulimia years before I made it to excavating and exhuming this horror that was living in my life and running it from underneath. I didn't even know how to get to it.
It's fascinating what the body and the mind does to kind of protect itself, doesn't it? What's going to happen in Sydney and Melbourne for your workshops?
The great medicines are coming together. The medicine of Forrest yoga and the medicine of the Aboriginal people that, like I said, they're going to bring forth a song, dance, maybe do didge healings during Shavasana. And that's where I get to be apprentice, which I'm very excited about, is when Turtle is doing the didge and Jose is running energy, it'll be like up to them to guide me. It's just like, I'm a healer, tell me what to do. Tell me how to help with this, because this is your ancient medicine and I want to learn it.
So people are going to see you in a whole new way that maybe have experienced your workshops before or just following you. They're going to see you doing something completely different. Hi. Speaking of something complete, we're just finishing up and we're just talking about the workshops that you're going to be doing in Sydney and Melbourne.
Yeah.
So I'll have the dates.
The dates are 9th, 10th, and 11th here at Body, Mind, Life.
Okay.
And Melbourne, I don't have it memorized. It's the next weekend.
I'll put everything. I'll put all the links on the show notes
for
the website to you guys.
And Wanderlust, we're going to be doing work together there.
So Wanderlust is like the Lollapalooza for yoga people. Is that what
It's like
Wanderlust
it's
is?
like a big festival. There's music there, and there's dance there, and there's people going nuts, and it's actually very fun.
That's going to be fun.
It's very fun, but also what we're going to bring together there is going to just, I think it's going to be really loved everywhere we go, honestly. But I think at Wanderlust they're going to just be like, yes, this is a medicine, and we get to have a party with it.
Very exciting. Good. It's probably a stupid question, but what's next for Anna and Jose? Jose just finished his class, wrapping up now. What's next for you guys? What's your big picture?
Big picture?
Anna can answer that.
No. Come on. What do you think? Like, it's just to be... What's your intent for the future? How about that? Speaking of intents.
Well, bringing our magics together, but also as we weave together more and more closely, and we develop through this loving relationship, and develop through bringing the Forrest yoga magic and the Aboriginal magic together, that will also inspire us into ways that I think we can't even fathom right now. And it's so exciting. And so it'll be really fun. It'll be fucking gorgeous, whatever it is, because both of us insist on those standards.
We walk in beauty.
Absolutely will. We'll be doing a lot of things in beauty. But also, it'll be like, because we both are so very invested as being teachers in this world, it will be gorgeous, it will be educational, it will be profound and heart-touching and spirit-uniting, and it's like, you should come in January.
I'm going to, but is there a place? I'm just a little bit afraid of the workshops. Like, you're going to kick my ass big time. And should I, like, hide? Is there a way I can hide so you
Not from
can't
me,
see
no.
me? Dang.
No, I'm a seer, darling.
I know.
But this is what I would request of you.
Okay.
Like, a lot of times I work with a team. I have a team of Forrest yoga people. I don't know if I'm going to have a team in Australia, because most of my team's in the States and in Europe and in Asia.
Yeah.
But trust that I know how to shepherd you through the process.
Yep.
Trust me, trust Jose, trust Turtle. We know how to shepherd you through in a beauty way. So, can you trust our experience?
100%. I'd be crazy not to even give it a go.
Oh, don't worry, I got my ass kicked. The first advanced teacher training, I wasn't ready for
Fierce.
day one.
Yeah.
I was ready physically, but the rest I wasn't ready.
I'm just going to...
So I didn't know what hit me that
Yeah.
3.5 hour class. That's how we started
Oh,
with.
my God.
But you fell in love with it and with me at a whole other level in that.
Yeah, there's a lot more going on. Maybe than the average.
It's profound and beautiful.
Yeah.
So,
I'll
seriously,
just trust
whoever
it.
shows up, it's like, trust my skill level and my love for what I'm doing and for what we're bringing together in the world to shepherd you through in a beauty way and in a kind way. And yeah, you're going to quiver, and yeah, you may cry,
Yeah.
but that's all part of the good medicine. It's like just purifying, cleansing out the old sorrows out of your heart and soul. I mean, why wouldn't you want that?
Yeah,
so
beautiful.
you can walk free of these things. So you can walk in freedom.
Yeah.
To me, that's beauty. It's like to no longer be imprisoned. It's like walk forward and be free of these things. Or know now how, you've got your tools now. So like you can start to work on filing these bars out of the way and use them to build something more useful than a prison.
Yeah. Oh, it'd be an absolute privilege to spend time with you guys and to see where your this magic is, just to be a part of it in its early stages.
Yeah.
And really
It's true.
fabulous.
If you come in January, you'll be at our first official collaboration.
Yeah, if I'm in Australia, I'll be here for sure.
We'll be bringing it to the States, though, too, because we're both world travelers and we love going to
great?
different countries.
Yeah. Wow.
The States and to Europe and to Greece and to
It'll
Asia
go
and to
everywhere
Hong Kong.
eventually, yeah.
Yeah. And that's what we will be doing, because both of us individually have traveled all over the world.
Yeah.
So we have folks that really love us all over. And now it's like, oh my God, do we have a treasure for
Wonderful.
you? Gather round.
That's so fun.
This is going to be great.
So what's a way, you say in your book, and I've heard you say it before, you say, aho, how do we finish?
Aho Matakriasan. Aho Matakriasan.
Aho matakwiasan.
Hey, you have a good ear. Yes.
What does that mean?
It means two different things. In celebration of all the people. And that includes the winged, the crawlers, the 4 feet, everybody. And the humans, the 2-leggeds. And it also means all my relations, which is all the people. But it also includes the spirit world, the ones that we cared for that are dead. And it includes the sacred ones, includes all of it.
Okay.
So recognizing that you are a part of something that big, that is all your relations.
Okay. So aho,
Matakuyasu.
aho, matakuyaso,
And
Anna
aho,
and Jose.
Matakuyasu.
Aho, matakuyasan.
And Matakuyasu.
And, okay, aho, matakuyasan.
And that was my chat with Anna Forrest. I want to give a special thanks to Body, Mind, Life, Yoga, and Pilates in Sydney for giving us a place to talk, for Charlotte Speller for lining it all up. Thanks, Charlie. To Jill Slater from Open Yoga in the UK who connected us. And links for Anna's upcoming Australia workshops as well as Wanderlust Festival in New Zealand are all at thechangeguru.net. Now, if you like the show, you can show your support by subscribing and rating me on iTunes, by going to Amazon and checking out my books, Be Your Own Change Guru, The Ultimate Women's Guide for Thriving at Midlife, and How to Find Your Purpose After 40, The Secret to Unlocking Your Unique Gift to the World. And you can also connect with me on social. I'd love to hear from you. Right now, I'm going to play a track from Jose Calarco's Descendants. Until next time, thanks so much for listening, and I'll catch you next time.